For centuries, humanity has whispered of monsters in the dark. The vampire, immortal, cursed with hunger for blood. The werewolf feral, bound to the full moon's savage light. Legends say they are rivals. But what if those legends became reality? What if these creatures of nightmare declared war, not on us, but on each other? A war of fangs and claws, stealth and savagery. A war that would shatter the night and drag humanity into the crossfire. Tonight, we reveal the disturbing truth of what would happen if vampires and werewolves went to war. Sharpen your stakes. Silver your blades. And subscribe to Skaridrak, because once this war begins, you will want to know how it ends. It begins not with thunder, but with silence. A silence so heavy that even the wind dares not disturb the forest. The moon climbs high, pale and watchful, casting its glow over abandoned villages and ruined castles. And in that silence, the war begins. The vampires strike first. They move like shadows, their eyes burning red as they slip through sleeping hamlets. Entire families vanish in a single night. Their bodies are drained not from hunger, but from strategy. Every victim is a warning. This land belongs to us. But the wolves feel the loss. Their rage is not whispered, but screamed. Beneath the full moon, the packs emerge from the mist. Massive shapes with fur bristling and jaws dripping with fury. Their roars shake the valleys. And when they descend upon villages corrupted by vampire thralls, they leave nothing alive. Where vampires are precise, werewolves are brutal. Where vampires leave silence, the wolves leave carnage. The first clashes are massacres. Forests burn, villages crumble, rivers run red. For the humans trapped in the middle, it is as if hell itself has opened. They speak of Judgment Day, of demons at war. But prayers bring no salvation, only fangs and claws in the night. The vampires retreat to their fortresses, black castles where ancient lords command in whispers. They are generals of the night, immortal tacticians who view war as a game of patience. The werewolves answer from the wilderness, where the alpha's howl summons his kin like thunder across the mountains. They do not need strategy. They are rage given flesh, and rage is enough. And so, the first blood is spilled. In the forests, vampires move with impossible speed, striking from the dark. Werewolves tear through trees and stone, unstoppable once they charge. The ground shakes beneath them, their howls echoing as fangs clash against claws. Every blow is savage, every scream a death sentence. The night itself seems alive with violence. But by dawn, no victor stands. The vampires vanish into the shadows before the first light touches the earth. The wolves scatter into the hills, their roars fading into silence. Only the battlefield remains. Scorched earth, broken bodies, and the smell of blood hanging heavy in the morning air. For the humans who stumble upon the ruins, the truth is undeniable. This was no raid, no accident. This was the beginning of something greater. The first strike has been made, and war has come to the night. If the werewolves are rage made flesh, then the vampires are death made intelligent. Their power is not in numbers, but in patience, planning, and cruelty sharpened over centuries. To understand their legions, you must imagine an army that does not tire, does not age, and fears only the rising sun. At the heart of their strength are the ancient lords, creatures who have survived plagues, empires, and wars that humans barely remember. They command with cold precision, each decision made as though eternity is theirs to waste. Where werewolves howl and charge, the vampires whisper and wait. Their castles, looming in ruined mountains and hidden valleys, are fortresses of shadow. Within their halls, strategies are carved into stone and sealed in blood. Their soldiers are not beasts, but predators. Vampires move like dancers of the dark, faster than the eye can follow. They strike and vanish before a scream escapes the throat. Their skin is cold marble, their fangs precise blades. To face one is terror. To face a dozen is slaughter. Yet even they are not the true strength of the legions. That strength lies in their servants, the thralls. Mortals twisted by blood, enslaved by the bite, neither fully alive nor dead. They fill the ranks as cannon fodder, storming villages, burning homes, dragging victims screaming into the night. For every thrall that falls, another is turned. With each battle, their numbers swell, an endless tide of broken humanity bound to their master's will. Then there are the horrors that stalk behind the lines, gargoyle-like beasts bred in shadows, vampire knights clad in armour black as night, winged hunters who swoop from the sky to tear apart their prey. Some whisper of Nosferatu, creatures older and fouler than lords, twisted by time into monsters of hunger and madness. The werewolves fear these most, for they are beyond reason, beyond even strategy. They are the nightmare behind nightmares. But what makes the legions truly terrifying is not their claws or their hunger. It is their mind. Every battle is chosen carefully. They strike when the moon is waning, when the wolves are weakest. They burn villages not for need, but to starve their rivals of prey. They poison rivers, desecrate hunting grounds, and use mortals as bait. To fight a vampire is not to fight a beast, but a commander who has had centuries to perfect the art of war. And when they gather in full, the earth trembles. An army of the night, cloaked in shadow, their eyes glowing like embers in the dark. Silent, unending, merciless. They do not march to drums. They march to the sound of silence, the suffocating silence that falls before the slaughter begins. And in that silence, the wolves know the truth. Their fury alone may not be enough. For against the vampire legions, even rage must bow to eternity. If vampires are the masters of patience, the werewolves are the masters of rage. They do not build castles, nor write strategies in candlelit chambers. Their strength comes from the wild, from blood that remembers the hunt, and from loyalty bound tighter than iron. To face one werewolf is to face a storm. To face a pack is to face nature itself, unleashed. The alpha stands at their centre, a towering beast whose howl can shatter silence across miles. His authority is not written but earned in blood. Every scar on his body is a story of survival. When he calls us, not with Hessian, but with fury, for the borderboard on fear, but on family. They do not fight alone. They fight as one, and that unity is their greatest weapon. Unlike the vampires, who descend with cold precision, the wolves strike like fire. A single howl marks the charge, and then the night explodes with violence. Their claws rip through wood and stone alike. Their jaws crush armour and bone. They are relentless, unstoppable once the bloodlust takes hold. And where one wolf falls, Anna rises, fueled by rage, fueled by loyalty, fueled by the moon itself. The transformation is their most terrifying weapon. Men and women of ordinary villages, writhing under the silver glow, bones snapping, muscles tearing, fur ripping through their skin. Their screams of agony turn into roars of fury as their humanity burns away. In a heartbeat, an army of men becomes an army of beasts. But do not mistake their savagery for stupidity. The wolves are hunters. They know the forest as if it is their skin, the mountain as if it is their blood. They set ambushs in the shadows, luring prey with howls in the distance before striking from behind. They circle their enemies, exhausting them, forcing them into traps. It is not mindless fury. It is instinct sharpened into strategy by nature itself. When the packs march, the earth shakes. They do not wear armour, but their fur is thick. Their speed unstoppable, their senses sharper than any mortal blade. They smell blood before it spills. They hear heartbeats in the silence. They taste fear on the wind. Against such predators, no human can stand. And even the immortal vampires feel the sting of terror. And so, the wolves become the counterbalance to the vampire legions. Where vampires starve them of prey, the wolves starve the vampires of safety. No forest, no valley, no road is free of their howls. They are not lords bound to castles or servants bound to blood. They are the wild itself. And when the packs rise together under the full moon, they are not an army. They are a force of nature. It begins under a crimson moon. For nights, the air has been heavy, thick with the scent of blood and smoke. The wolves gather in the valleys, their howls echoing like war drums. The vampires muster in their black fortresses, eyes burning like embers in the night. Both sides know the truth. The silence is over. The first great battle is here. The wolves strike first, a storm of fur and fury charging across the fields. Their howls split the night as they move in a tide, claws tearing the earth beneath them. The ground shakes under their speed, their roars drowning out even the wind. To them, this is not war, it is the hunt. And the vampires are prey. But the lords of the night are ready. From the mist rise the legions, pale warriors in cloaks. Armoured knights with black steel, winged hunters swooping from the sky. At their command march thralls, broken humans turned into weapons, screaming as they rush into the jaws of the beasts. The two forces collide with the force of a storm crashing against stone. The battlefield erupts in chaos. Wolves rip through thralls in seconds, blood spraying across the dirt. Vampires move with impossible speed, dodging claws, striking with fangs that sink deep into fur. Packs circle, tearing apart stragglers. Shadows and moonlight blur into one endless massacre. Every roar is answered by a scream. Every scream by silence. Above it all, the Alpha meets the ancient Lord. One beast of rage, one master of patience. Their clash is not a battle, but a duel of worlds. The Alpha's claws rip through armour, his howl shattering stone. The vampire Lord counters with strength older than kingdoms. His strikes precise, his mind unshaken. Around them, soldiers fall like leaves, but neither yields. Their duel will shape the war to come. The humans trapped in the valley see only nightmares. Fires spread across villages. Wolves tear through streets. Vampires drink openly in the chaos. Children scream, bells toll, but no salvation arrives. For them, this is the end of days. The sky itself seems to burn red as the war of shadows consumes everything. The battle rages until dawn. The wolves fight with fury, but the rising sun weakens the vampires. Their lords retreat into the mist, their army vanishing before the first light touches the field. The wolves, bloody but alive, throw their heads back and howl in victory. Yet it is not true triumph. Too many have fallen. too much blood has been spilled. And in the silence that follows, both sides know the truth. This was not the war itself. This was only the beginning. The first great battle is over, but war has truly begun. For the vampires and the werewolves, war is a clash of dominance. But for the humans, it is apocalypse. They are neither soldiers nor rulers in this conflict. They are a prey caught between two predators that see them as fuel, trophies or pawns. When the vampires descend, it is not with fire and fury, but with silence. Doors burst open in the dead of night. Families vanish without screams. Villagers wake to find every bed empty, every body drained. The vampires see humans as resources, blood to be harvested and pawns to be twisted into thralls. Entire towns fall without a fight, enslaved in shadows before the church bells can toll. When the wolves strike, there is no silence. Their arrival is thunder. Howls tear across the hills. Windows shatter as beasts crash through walls. Humans run, but there is nowhere to hide. To the wolves, mortals are prey to feed their frenzy, or bait to lure vampires from hiding. They do not drink with elegance, they tear, they shred. They leave the ground slick with carnage. Some humans try to fight. Villagers sharpen wooden stakes, hammer silver into blades, carry crucifixes and wolfsbane. Hunters rise from the ashes, desperate souls who believe they can hold back the tide. Some succeed in killing a thrall or a wolf, but most end up as corpses or worse, turned into servants of the night. For those who survive, life becomes exile. Families abandon their homes, wandering from village to village, hoping to outrun the war. Forests once used for hunting are now death traps echoing with roars and whispers. Fields rot, rivers run red, and trade roads are littered with corpses. Humanity becomes a shadow of itself, praying each night to see the sunrise. And so, caught in the crossfire, humans realize a grim truth. This war is not theirs to win. They are but fuel for the flames, pawns in a struggle between two monsters. To the vampires, they are cattle. To the wolves, they are a prey. And to the earth itself, they are nothing more than witnesses to a nightmare written in blood. For weeks, the war raged like wildfire. Villages burned, forests echoed with screams, rivers carried blood downstream. But no side could claim victory. The vampires had speed, cunning, and immortal patience. The wolves had strength, fury, and numbers. Each battle ended in ruin, but never in triumph. Until one night, everything changed. It began with whispers. The humans, desperate to survive, made a choice that would alter the balance forever. Hidden in crypts and monasteries, ancient relics slept, artifacts forged in blood and faith. Weapons meant to destroy the unnatural. Silver blessed by priests. Wooden stakes carved from sacred trees. Even fragments of holy scripture bound to steel. These relics, untouched for centuries, were now brought into the light, and with them the humans prepared to rise not as prey, but as hunters. But humans were not the only ones seeking power. Deep within forgotten tombs, the vampire lords uncovered something darker, a secret buried since the first night. They walked the earth, rituals older than kingdoms, spells carved into stone with screams of the dying. They called it the Blood Rite, a forbidden power that could bind the living and the dead. If completed, it would make the vampires unstoppable. No army of wolves, no dawn, no holy relic could stand against them. The werewolves, too, sensed the shift. The alpha heard whispers in the wind, smelled the change in the soil. To them, it was not relics or sorcery that would tip the scales, it was unification. For centuries, packs had fought each other as often as they fought vampires. But now, one by one, the scattered tribes bent the knee. Across forests and mountains, howls rose into the sky, each one answering the alpha's call. For the first time in history, the werewolves stood not as fractured packs, but as a single army. And so, the war transformed. No longer was it random raids and blood-soaked ambushes. It became strategy, campaign, conquest. Humans armed with relics formed secret militias, striking in the night. Werewolves marched in coordinated hunts, not just beasts but soldiers of rage. Vampires carved symbols of blood into the sky, summoning storms and shadows to weaken their foes. The battlefield itself seemed to tremble as the night turned into an endless theatre of carnage. Yet the turning point was not only in weapons or numbers. It was in resolve. The wolves howled with unity. The humans fought with desperation. The vampires summoned horrors thought lost to time. Every side was willing to pay the price. And in war, when all are willing to die, what emerges is not victory, but apocalypse. The first great shift had begun. From this point onward, no one, not vampire, not wolf, not human, could turn back. The war was no longer a struggle for dominance. It had become a struggle for survival. And survival demands sacrifice. The war that had consumed night and land reached its cruelest hour. Fires burned cities to ash. Forests were torn apart. Rivers ran thick with blood. And the screams of humans, wolves, and vampires alike echoed into a sky blackened with smoke. Every strike, every ambush, every spell and howl had led to this devastation without end. For centuries, myths told of immortal creatures at war. But the truth was far darker. The vampires, cunning and patient, had once believed themselves untouchable. They had mastered shadows, manipulated humans, and summoned horrors from forgotten rituals. Yet their endless thirst for blood left them vulnerable, and their arrogance blinded them to the rising human resistance. The werewolves, embodiments of raw fury and nature's strength, had finally united under one alpha. Packs that had once fought each other now marched together, unstoppable in numbers and rage. But unity could not shield them from silver-tipped arrows, holy fire, and the weapons of men who had grown desperate enough to fight monsters with knowledge, faith, and steel. And the humans. The humans were no longer merely prey. Some had fallen, of course, their lives claimed by claws or fangs. Others had survived by cleverness, by alliances, by wielding the relics of a faith and history older than the monsters themselves. In trying to survive, humanity had learned a bitter truth. The war was never about supremacy between vampires and wolves. It had always been about human survival. By the end, no victor remained. Vampire lords starved in shadowed crypts, their numbers dwindling. Werewolf packs had been slaughtered or scattered by relentless ambush. And human civilization, once thriving now, lay in ruins. Its people terrified, broken, but stubbornly clinging to life. The war had consumed all, predator, prey, and the night itself. And so the lesson was clear, though it came too late for those who had fought and died. The monsters of legend are terrifying. Yes, but the true horror is when they fight. For themselves at the expense of everyone else. If the war between vampire and werewolf ever begins, the true losers will not be the creatures of the night, but US